All right, really quick video for you today. I just want to get you inspired to maybe take your studio space or your bedroom studio or wherever it is, and think about ways that you can turn that space into something a little bit more creative and a place that you're excited to come in and get some work done. So right now it's summertime, super hot, and I don't really like being in the studio working with software. So usually during these months, I find myself wanting to create something outside that will go in my studio. What I did this last week is created some shelves for my synthesizers. It's kind of more of a display shelf because I don't think I would be playing it over top of the Rhodes here, but it is, in my opinion, the exact thing I was envisioning for several years now, something I've always wanted to do. My wife does a lot of this kind of stuff around the house. She's just like really creative with scraps of wood and stuff like that. I'm not quite so handy, but in this video I want to talk about how I took my limited wood skills and still was able to create something for a very small amount of money that puts my synths on display. So before we go too far, I should mention that I'm not a woodworker by any stretch of the imagination. I have a miter saw and a hand sander, and that's about it for fancy tools. But that's what I'm trying to say here, is that you can definitely do all of this kind of stuff or make your space a better place to work in with a limited amount of tools. I did find one dude while I was doing some research, and this guy's name is Jesse Senko, and he built this really sweet synthesizer wood case. He's got like a Behringer Moog synth and an Arturia keystep in there, and it just looks beautiful. He's actually got plans for it as well. I'll put a link to his video in the description, but go check out Jesse's video. He's got really great videos, high production value videographer, and I can't recommend his channel enough. So let's talk about these shelves now and show you how I put them all together. We took some measurements and figured out how much length we'd need on this shelf to be able to fit an entire synthesizer. And then we figured out that we would put a little lip at the back that the feet could catch on. So we found the pieces of wood, put them up, and just kept going back and forth. So once we had the wood cut, we sanded the wood. And as you see in my studio, I've got a lot of sort of orangey brown wood. I really love the teak stuff. I found a really good stain called Gunstock, so I can put a link to that if somebody wants to see it. One coat of that stuff and this wood looked a lot darker, which I really like. And then we put a light coat of semi-gloss varathane. I actually would probably go matte next time I do it, but I still think they look pretty good. So here you can see the construction. We've got the big piece of pine on top. That board was 10 inches wide. On the bottom, we've got these little boards that just hold up the whole shelves. Those ones were a little tough to find a good spot to drill in, make sure I got into a stud. Remember, when you're doing this on your own, you don't come blame me if your synth crashes down, and hopefully mine don't as well. Then I've also got on the back, I've got that one board that is a 1x3, and that one's just screwed in on the bottom, and then the feet of the synthesizer are hooked onto that board. As it is, the feet are just barely catching on the lip of that board so that I know my synth is nice and solid here. Like, I could play this synth and it wouldn't be a problem. But as I said, this is mostly just a display case kind of thing. A little more construction tips. What we did here is we countersunk the holes and then just got little 1/2-inch plugs and then stained and varathaned those as well. And they just kind of sit in there so I can pop them off at any point if I need to raise the shelf or take the shelf off to paint or something like that. I've also got these extremely fancy LED light strip stuff that I got off Amazon. I could put a link in the description. I think it was $15. And it just sticks to the bottom of the wood perfectly. Got a little remote control to turn the lights on and off. And it does a really good job of lighting up the synthesizer or anything that's on the shelf there. So the main board was 20 bucks. The back board cost about $7. And the two side boards that hold the rail, those ones cost about $2 in total. Then we have the plugs. I had an old can of varathane and I bought the stain for about another $29. So all told, I didn't have to spend very much money, and all I needed was that one miter saw to make the cuts. So now I'll just show you a couple other little things I've done to either hold synthesizers or gear in my studio that I've created that didn't cost very much money. I've mentioned these ones before, but these are just these Odyssey laptop stands or DJ stands or whatever. And they're actually kind of expensive, which is ridiculous when you think about what I was just able to do with these shelves for maybe, I don't know, $35 each. I won't talk about it much in this video, but I'll put a link to an old video I have where I went over making this little riser thing on my desk. Just a piece of wood with some slats on the side. Kind of hokey, to be honest, but it really does the trick. So I've got a video for that. I'll post you a link for that one in the description. And then the other question I get a ton is, what is my desk? And the desk is just a piece of acacia wood that I picked up at the hardware store, put some legs on it. And then I have another video about this little keyboard slider tray. Again, something I just picked up off Amazon. It locks into place. And then fairly sturdy, but again, this is something you kind of take your keyboard into your own hands if you're going to try this out. But I'll put a link to that video in the description as well. It works extremely well for me and what I need it to do. And if I need to play a little more aggressively, I've got the Poly Brute over here, so I can, you know, really sink into the keys. And then I've got a full 88 key that I pull out on a stand when I really need to get that piano feel and do things properly that way. So I'd highly recommend that you get out to your local hardware store and figure out ways that you can make your studio a space that you're more inspired to be in. So let me know what you think about it all. Tell me in the comments section if you like the new look. I'll probably do another 2 shelves on the other corner of my studio above my grand piano here, and just keep making this space my own and a place that I'm excited to get into and work and make YouTube videos for you guys. All right, thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button and the bell, and we'll see you in the next video.